to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 28-day. Remember, folks, it's leap year this year, so we got one more day left of this dreadful winter month. So March 1st won't be until Friday. I got a great show with you on for tonight. Right off the bat, I've got Sonja Pearson from Prim and Proper Sports here. Going to talk about the Cam Newton situation. Last time she was on the program, we talked about Cam Newton. She's met Cam Newton, a big Charlotte fan there, Carolina Panthers fan and whatnot. And she lives out in the Atlanta area, best of both worlds. So also going to talk about Marcus Morris here. Some interesting comments. Zach Wilson, granted permission to seek a trade request. Had to go through my Raheem Morris from the Atlanta Falcons had some interesting comments. A good keyword phrase there. And like I said, Bucky Brooks had a comment about the receiving core, something I talked about last night with the Marvin Harrison deal. So let's take our first and only break. We'll be back here, hit the ground running. I've got Sonja Pearson. Should be back up here with me right after the break. Stand by. We'll be back in 49 seconds here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Alrighty then, I got this chair in the background. It's messing up my whatchamacallit here. Oh, then again, I don't know what that is from. Either way, we'll hit the ground running here, folks. Let me bring in Sonja Pearson from Prim and Proper. Now, that's a $50 word. I didn't get a chance to ask you, what does prim mean? There's 2 or 3 definitions for that. What does the word prim mean?
Prim means etiquette, kind of above reproach. A little, they kind of go hand in hand. I wanted to have something that has a feminine touch on it. And, sometimes I could be prim, sometimes I could be proper, sometimes I could be in between. It's funny because people are like, what is prim and proper about sports? I'm like, because it's elegantly put with no mistakes and no filter.
Oh, okay. I thought it meant polite. Proper. Yeah, I'm proper. I'm polite, but I'm not uppity. I'm not too above fray. So, yeah. But either way, it's really catchy.
Thank you. How are you doing, Robert?
Good. Like the softer side of Sears.
Exactly.
Yeah. I thought about you straight up when this Cam Newton story came about. So, by the way, you can see I've got your show at the bottom of the screen. I noticed you did that for my show the other day, and I really appreciate that.
And thank you. I appreciate this right. You got everything perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. So, I'm not going to put my opinion on you. What's your thoughts on the Cam Newton fight, whatever you want to call it, that happened? I think it went viral, Sunday?
Went viral Sunday. That event happened Saturday.
Okay.
I'm assuming right here in Atlanta. But the real MVP is that hat, that Gandor hat. That hat did not.
I knew that was him. People said it was Cam. I said, it's that hat. It's the guy in that giant hat. He always wears crazy hats like that.
It's the hat. I mean, Cam has a lot of hair. He's been growing his hair out for quite a bit. And to have that hat immovable, like literally immobile during that whole altercation was outstanding. So I actually played that clip last night on my show during the live because I didn't know whether to be mad or to laugh, Robert. Like, he's putting on this 7x7 tournament in Atlanta, his home city. Cam does a lot for the community. He does a lot trying to give back, trying to reach out to underprivileged youth, and especially those, youth that may have an interest in football. And so I've seen him over the last years, especially since he's kind of been a free agent, putting on clinics, whatever. And then I've seen him have some, even in New Orleans.
Nice.
And
so you've seen him. You've met him multiple times.
No, so I've met him twice. Once officially, but I'm saying like on his social media, he has a podcast.
Oh, nice.
He does these, like last year he had a community event he put on in New Orleans, and there were some Saints fans out there, and the kids were just like giving him the ringer, and he basically was like, where's your dad? He needs a belt. I'm not your dad, that kind of thing. So I think it was one of his situations. This time someone probably tried Cam. He responded back. They swung on him, and he went Superman MVP like he did for the Carolina Panthers. 6'5", 244 pounds. He's used to defenders running against him all day, and he literally dropped. I mean, I don't know if you saw, he dropped back.
Yeah, I watched it.
Dropping back.
Looks like
out of the pocket. That was the funny thing. He dropped out like he was dropping out of the pocket on the field and slung these guys around like rag dolls. And then here comes security, what have you. But I don't know. It was like, man, is this really happening?
Did you hear that was actually one of the coaches? It wasn't one of the kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing. I can't seem to get the real tea. The details were still coming out. I hadn't checked this evening for any updates. I was going to do so before I go on my show here shortly. Yeah. But I thought it was a child. So you're saying, because they were saying they were this group called the TSP Boys, but you're saying this was an adult that swung on Cam?
Well, it was one of his former coaches that they worked together, and they've supposedly, made up and everything. But, my thing is, it's like the second time you had the kid issue, and apparently the guy that some other of the guys that were there that were grown men, not the kids or whatever, or the players, they were saying that he was saying some pretty foul stuff, and see, very prim and proper. She's using the mute button. Sanja had to cough. I mean, see, you're way ahead of me on this stuff. I'm trying to keep up.
No, you got it, Robert. I forgot to wear my dress outfit tonight.
No, you look good. You look good.
You're always, I can
Panthers locker room, by the way.
Yes, and you know what? You can name your show "Suited and Booted" because you're always.
Hey, you know what? I may take you up on that. I may.
Or fit to be tied, because you always have a tie.
I appreciate that. So.
But yeah, so wait a minute. Who had the beef? The coach was talking mean to Cam? Or
well,
Cam
they were saying something in regards to I'm your dad, and just really trash talk. I'm like, he's 34. The other coach was 30, and it was really foul stuff here. You look at the stuff with the other kids, you just wonder maybe, and this has been the big knock on Cam, that, he might have a huge body and everything, 6'5", but he's really got the maturity level of like a 16 or 17-year-old.
Yeah.
He seemed to have had that was a knock on him during the draft process, even though he went number 1 overall. That was some of the criticisms that he still kind of like got the varsity jacket, 16, 17. He's never really matured out of that. And my thing is, this guy's a former MVP of the league, former number 1 overall pick. And you're telling me at NFL that he can't get a backup job at 31 other I mean, I think it's a leadership issue with him, Yeah,
I always tell people personality and professional, when they bleed over, sometimes it can really cost someone a career. Look at Bill Belichick. We never would have thought he's the winningest coach in NFL history today.
Oh, that's true.
And
yeah.
He is now jobless for all intents and purposes. Some people may say it's his age, but really, they just put a survey out. I was just looking at it before we came on air, that they surveyed the team after he left. Yeah. And like 55% of the team said they had an issue with him. And that's quite high. It's a little bit above half, but it's half enough that if those have an issue, they can bleed over into the ones who don't have the issue with him. So when you look at athletes like Cam Newton, he was highly skilled on the field. Trust me, I call all kind of stuff. You know, he used to fall out on the field when it was a field goal missed or when we were losing. He literally collapsed. I don't know how he didn't injure himself on the sidelines. He would just fall out like a baby, literally.
Overly emotional.
And very emotional. He says, you know, he plays with passion and that's what he does. But you may be onto something. He has not left the varsity level mentally because he's still the high school jock, still wants all the girls, has, you know, a lot of kids and continues to have a lot of kids. He has the Playboy.
He's a kid himself.
Yep, he has the Playboy image out there. Comes from a church family. His dad is an elder or a deacon in some congregation in South Atlanta, but he just seems to not be that thing. It's almost like he just wants to live life free-spirited, and he wants to live life, you know, uninhibited and without rules. You know, there's some people out there that are 50, 60, 70 years old that just never adhere to any rules. You know, kind of fly under the radar. People love them because they're like the life of the party.
Yeah.
But when you are in a position like Cam Newton is, where the whole entire world is watching you on your stage, you have to make sure that you remain a star when you're on that stage.
Yeah. That's interesting. You said that about now. I wonder if Belichick, if that poll were be done when they were winning, because I remember Gronkowski, even though they're winning Super Bowls, he says, you know, even when we'd win the game, everything will get pointed out what I did wrong the week before that. That's just part of his, you know. Now, he needs to lighten up, I'm sure. Tom Coughlin was told by his own wife that he needed to lighten up. He was too rigid. He was too rigid on his players in Jacksonville, and he wore them thin. He lightened up a little bit, and we saw what happened in with the Giants. They ended up winning those Super Bowls. So, yeah, you may be on something that while he's out of work right now, there was some issues with Mike Vrabel being too intimidating.
Yeah, physical. His physical presence supposedly was domineering. Yeah. And I was like, you know, what are you talking about? He looks like Fred Flintstone. What's so big?
Oh, we talked about that. We talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think Cam will ever play again?
So this is how I look at it. The longer you are out of the league, the more unlikely it is that you will play in the league. We look at people like Dez Bryant, who tried to come back with the New Orleans Saints.
Yes.
Got an injury just trying to practice for the team and was let go. But it came out that he was basically blackballed in Dallas with a locker room issue. Like Dak Prescott no longer targeted him because there was like, we watched the game, like, why is Dez not receiving any catches? It was clearly an issue that spills over into the locker room, and the locker room is extremely powerful. So with Cam, he didn't do too much in New England. I don't think he had the camaraderie up in New England that he had in Carolina. The team, for all intents and purposes, with Carolina, they imploded the team. When he came back the last time for us, a few games, Carolina Panthers fans were excited because they are, I like to call them Camonites. They love Cam. And so
like Swifties.
Yeah, and so
that's funny.
They love him, and they literally, like, no joke. I run an all-female fan page that I started, the Carolina Pantherettes. We had up to 12,000 ladies in that group. It's recognized. It's the all-female fan club. When Cam left to go to New England, the membership dropped down. Like they were leaving. Like you could see the numbers going out. Dang. All of a sudden, he comes back. We're getting like 300 requests a day for new members, when all it really was old members that had left and was like, we're following Cam because they're Camonites, and then they were back. But to answer your question, I'm giving all that information out. Cam has a fan base that is just his specific fan base, not necessarily his fan base.
He's
as
like
a player
an NBA
for the NFL
star, essentially.
Yep. Yes.
Wow.
But I don't know, I think Cam's personality is too large for backup. And I think he feels that way too. There was a time last year and even the year before that he was putting out these workout videos on his social media
to show that.
To show that he was still active, he was still getting it done. But then you compare him to someone like Colin Kaepernick, who came to Atlanta a couple of years ago to basically have his own mini combine.
Yeah.
Showed up with his own fanfare, didn't have it at the location it was supposed to be at.
I remember that.
We have not seen Colin grace the field on any team. And Colin, in my opinion, was just as good as Cam without all the fanfare.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't, something, as soon as Harbaugh got away from him, things started to go down for Cap. I mean, it's like he needed that, mentor there or whatnot. And that offensive coordinator, I can't remember his name right now. He was Lamar Jackson's offensive coordinator with John Harbaugh for years. And they finally moved off the guy. And then, of course, they went with Todd Monken from Georgia. And, they almost got to the Super Bowl. But he really put in some good schemes there for him. Yeah, so you're saying Cam probably, you think he's going to try to get into coaching? People evolve,
I don't see him coaching, honestly. I see Cam, he's ventured off into his own businesses. He has some cigar bars, food trucks. He has the Cam Newton Foundation that he still has fundraisers for and just goes about doing community service. I would love to see him back in the league. I'm a Cam fan.
Yeah.
I just don't know off the bat what team would be a good fit for him. I don't see him playing in a backup role because his personality and his play style is just too big to be in a backup position. However, I'm sure that if anyone calls him, he would take the job willingly because right now he's looking, for a job, and he has been for a couple of years. And the longer you're removed, the less likely it is that you're going to be brought back in.
So you think he would take one now?
Yes, absolutely. He'll take whatever the NFL has for him just so he could get back in the league. But I do not see him coaching. I don't see him doing that. I don't know if he has the discipline, honestly, to coach specifically. I know he loves kids and he's great with these one-on-one events, but to know all the plays, maybe he'd be a good quarterback coach. But to be like defensive and something like that, that would, involve him having to memorize the entire playbook on offense and defense. And I just don't think he's going to want to give that type of effort. Not that he can't, but I just don't think he would want to really give that type of effort to learning that.
Yeah, switching gears. Now, if you got to run, you just let me know. You got to type it, Sandra. But
okay.
Hey, what do you think about Zach Wilson today being granted permission to seek out a trade?
Yeah, they've been kind of up and down with Zach since Aaron Rodgers went down.
Yeah,
and I'm not surprised. He was not happy. In fact, I think it was rumored a little while back that he was talking smack in the locker room about, coaching staff and management and things like that. So anytime you start hearing the rumblings within a locker room of an organization, it's only a matter of time before they're like, you know what, you are a bad apple in the bunch, and we need to get rid of you before you kind of infiltrate the entire organization.
Yeah, he needs to be. A lot of these guys, they're pumped up through high school. They're pumped up through college. They get drafted really high. Zach Wilson, Baker Mayfield ate a lot of humble pie, turned himself back into a student, went to Tampa. Now it looks like he might get some type of extension. Read something the other day, something similar to was it Geno Smith with Seattle, like a 3-year, $75 million type of deal. I think Zach Wilson will probably maybe compete for a backup or something somewhere. He's going to have to rehabilitate his image, and he's going to have to work on his game and take a student of the game type of approach and realize he's not ready. If he was ready, they wouldn't have went out and paid all that capital and took all those risks for for Aaron Rodgers,
Right.
But all that being said, I thought maybe they'd work it out, but I forgot that Saleh was constantly throwing him under the bus.
I felt like that. There's almost so much bad blood that he probably is relieved to have the trade so that he could just start afresh somewhere else. Now, where he goes, that's a different story. I do not see him coming to Atlanta. Atlanta's quarterback seeking. I see them probably pulling someone in the draft if they can wait long enough to train them, but they are definitely ready to bench Ritter and get rid of Taylor Heineke down here in Atlanta. So they need a quarterback. They were talking about getting a Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson, and Russell wants to stay in Denver despite all the issues going on there. Even though we thought that Denver could possibly release him right off the rip, it looks like they can't. But it's an ongoing saga that is day to day. We won't know. You look at the quarterback situation in Chicago. Justin Fields may or may not be traded because Chicago has that first pick. Justin may end up in Atlanta. He was stirring the pot by unfollowing the Bears on social media and started following the Falcons. And it's just been like almost like a
he started following them. Look at you breaking news here, Sanja from downtown. I did not catch that. Yeah, for the audience here, he is the Justin Fields is a native. I don't know if he's technically from Atlanta. He's from a small town.
Kennesaw, which is about 30 minutes north of Atlanta. He's from here. He grew up and went to high school, and it's considered an Atlanta suburb. So he is from here. This would be like him coming home for all intents and purposes. But I don't know. The Falcons aren't seriously trying to court him in that aspect. In fact, the rumor was Justin Fields may perhaps go to Pittsburgh, even though Arthur Smith is up there. Arthur Smith showed no interest in Justin Fields when he was with Atlanta. So it would be interesting to see number one, does Justin Fields leave, or does Chicago use that number one pick to get some other people for their team as opposed to getting quarterback? Because we know this is the first season we've seen Justin Fields actually act happy, just like Zach Wilson with their team. Both of them have complained about being on their teams in the past. So for them to basically now tell Zach Wilson, you can leave if you want, I won't be surprised if we finally see that coming up with Zach Wilson. And March 13th is quickly approaching. The free agency field out there.
From the day, Sonia.
Yes, that's when they can start picking up good talent.
In my mind, I want it to be Friday tomorrow, but really it's only Wednesday.
There, it's almost there, but that's going to say a lot about this free agency.
Yes. Well, let me ask you this. You brought up Fields. Do you think that could be a distraction playing at home like that?
I don't know, because I often entertained when Cam was playing for Carolina and when we would play down here in Atlanta. I kid you not, he acted as if every single time we could not win in Atlanta. We literally could not win in Atlanta. We would come down here and it was like, what is wrong with Cam? He is a whole different person. So I think the advantage for Justin would be you're playing for the home team. I think that would be beneficial for him. I'm sure his family and friends that he knows from, being here before could support him more. And I don't think it would be a distraction. I think if anything, it would be a time for him to really show that he is the NFL draft that was selected and this is where he belongs.
Yeah. I've read that. I want to say I read that that Falcons were the favorite for Fields. I don't know if there's an ideal fit for Fields, maybe with an offensive-minded head coach, but the offensive-minded head coaches seem to have their guys,
Right. That's the thing. He doesn't have a place. It's almost kind of like the defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, he's now out of a job. Where does he go? Everybody else kind of has their positions sewn up. Does he go back to college? There's always kind of some positions or analyst openings in those. But for the NFL, and like you said, as we move into free agency, those positions are going to be really closed because they're now focusing on building their team. Their management and their coaches should already be set going forward.
Yes, I think he's going to he might be brought in, but I think there'll be some competition. Now, as far as Zach Wilson, he'd be lucky to get a job anywhere, but their numbers are similar. I've read some stats on that. Fourth quarter numbers with Cam Newton, they're right there with Zach Wilson, except he's stronger and a better athlete than Wilson. They're both early first-round picks. Wilson, I think, was a number 2 overall pick. Cam was a little bit later. Maybe Minnesota could take a chance. Something tells me they're going to draft somebody. I just got a feeling these guys are going to have to earn their jobs. Even Cam, not Cam Justin. Even Justin Field. I mean, think about it. There's a quarterback that played at his school first year, Stroud. And we knew right off the bat. I mean, like second game, Stroud. I mean, what did he go like 6 games without an interception for a rookie?
CJ Stroud, yeah.
I mean, he was killing it. I didn't think he was going to get Rookie of the Year because he got those concussions, but he was playing so well. The voters just voted him Rookie of the Year. Anyways, I thought Puka Nacua would get it from the Rams because he played through everything. He played all 17 games. So that's all weighing against a guy like a Justin Fields. Morris talked about Raheem Morris. I don't know why I got Marcus Moore. I think that's one of the guys that used to play with the Suns. Different sport. Raheem Morris, he emphasized looking for a player long term. And I thought, I know because Russell Wilson's been named as a possible player with the Falcons. Russell Wilson's contract this year, it's complicated, but whoever takes him, they're going to have to pay like $1.12 million. It's cheap. They're cheap. And everything else is going to everything else is going under the Denver. They got to eat it. So but
Russell said he doesn't want to go. He said he wants to be a Bronco. He's got 2 Super Bowls left in him. He just needs a chance. I really think that he and Peyton are on such an opposite sides right now. I don't see it fixing it.
He's still playing the nice guy, ain't he?
Yep. Sean Payton has screamed in his face the entire time. I don't see that going forward. Anything coming positive out of that.
Yeah, they're going to cut him. I mean, I believe they're going to cut him before the 17th. That day is what I read off Pro Football Talk. So it's going to be interesting. Think about Russell Wilson. Yeah, Chad says Russell to the Raiders. The Raiders are out to do anything. That's a good point, Chad, because Aiden O'Connell, they're not going to give it to him. You got Jimmy Garoppolo out there. He has injury problems. And by the way, Kirk Cousins is coming back from Achilles injury. So there's no clear cut. This person's going to go here. This musical chairs are going to be interesting. I think
the Raiders are going to be keeping Devontae Adams. Their general manager came out yesterday and said that. So if Russell Wilson went to the Raiders, that would be a powerhouse combination because Devontae Adams is solid. And then they got Antonio Pierce up there. Like he
likes to run the ball like Pete Carroll, right?
Yes, he has done wonders with that organization. And so I could see Russell going there. I mean, he stays out west for all intents and purposes. I do not see him coming to Atlanta. His wife, Sierra, is some drama here. She's from Atlanta. You know, the whole issue with her having a child.
Does Future live in Atlanta?
Yes, he does. He is a very well-known rapper, very well respected.
You think he would try to get in a fight with Wilson?
Let's just put it like this: Future raps and still disses Russell in his raps, all because Russell is raising his son that Future decided he didn't want to have anything to do with. Future has like 6 other kids, and for some reason he decided.
You like Future?
Yes, I'm a Future. until he messed with Sierra, I don't like what he did with her because I'm a Sierra fan as well. And when she met Russell Wilson, Future was so mad he literally signed over his parental rights for his son for Russell to literally adopt him just because he was mad. Like, you're taking care of all your other kids, but you're mad because she moved on to big and better. And because Russell Wilson is solid. He's, a man of God. He's spiritual, and he's just not a hoodlum for all intents and purposes. Yeah. And so, Future still comes out. Like, he's still coming out, like, within the last few months, diss tracks. And he's always talking about Russell Wilson in his song.
Why is he being a hater? He gets for the record, my ex-girlfriend from about 10 years ago, I never heard of Future. She loved Future. Oh, my God, and I thought he's okay, but that women find him really attractive. He's a tall guy, right?
He's tall. I mean, he's okay, but I like his music. You like
Future.
I love his music.
Yeah, but women really find him attractive, don't they?
Yeah, they love him. They really do love him down here. I mean, he's very popular. He's on a lot of mixed tapes and a lot of mixed tracks, I should say now, because no more tapes. But like, he's well respected. Navadius Cash is his real name. So
See, I knew you like. Who do you like better, him or Quavo?
Oh wow! So Quavo, I like the Migos when they were a group.
Yeah,
it's really
well,
sad what
that's
happened with
terrible.
Takeoff. Yeah,
Yeah, but Takeoff. Yeah,
and then when Offset and they broke up the group before Takeoff passed. So I like Quavo, but I think I'm gonna say I still like Future more. Now, if you say Young Jeezy, that's a different story because I'm a huge Jeezy fan. Like Jeezy's like one of my favorite
you like
artists.
him over them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. I love Jeezy. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been rocking that greatness, but that is.
So that's on my theme song on my Prim and Proper show.
Because you brought that up, I looked it up.
Yeah,
and it sounds like something that Oscar De La Hoya would come out. It's got very Spanish style.
The lyrics are why I chose that song. It talks about everything positive. You go through in life is meant to make you stronger, and within yourself you are great, and that's why I love the song. It's inspiring. If you listen to the words, yes, it has that whole Latin theme, everything to it.
That's what I thought when I heard.
But listen to it's going to be played here shortly on my show. Make sure you listen to it. Listen to the words. It's like I picked a special segment of it that plays right in, and so yeah.
And you ain't been sued by Quavo yet?
No, because guess what? That's public domain, and I would know with my law profession background, as far as working as a paralegal and everything. When they ask you about that, those are on public domains. They're on TikTok and everything. And once you put your music out there for that, I'm not gaining anything financially by using his music. So I'm in the clear.
Good. When they come at me, I'm going to say, talk to my legal counsel, Sandra Pearson.
I got to get a bar number, though, first. I got to go through law school and get barred, but I can help you on the paralegal side. I can at least review
it. When you bring that up, that reminds me of that line out of that Jay-Z song, 99 problems, but a bleep, not one. I didn't pass the bar, but I know a little bit. You can't legally search my bleep.
Yes, there you go. See, Ron,
I'm
culturally inclined tonight.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be like you, rhyme and stuff. You're like Don King the other night.
Oh yeah, it's just
the thunder from down under.
Yeah,
something. You should do a hip hop podcast, perhaps.
So it's funny you mentioned that. That's why I kind of got it as Prim and Proper as well. It's going to kind of be the Prim and Proper Empire is my goal. I want to do like other stuff like mental health awareness, where we talk about that. During the pandemic, I had a mental health moment through the
I think everybody did, right?
12,000. No, I had a symposium. And every weekend for the month of May in 2020, because that was the beginning of the pandemic, I had professionals come on. We had like 12,000 participants in that.
Nice.
So many people were sharing that because we came on. I had, counselors come on and talk to you. I had nurses, medical professionals about how to beat depression during the pandemic. And so I always try to have like a little bit of my platform to kind of help people. So now that I'm in this genre and I'm now on Roku Sports and on NESSP and all that stuff, I'm going to try to use those platforms to continue to help other people out there because, sports brings us all together. It makes us super happy.
Puts me in a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait till free agency. I'm counting down to that like it's a draft because here in Nashville, the Titans, they have almost $80 million. Of course, I keep up with the league as a whole. Mike Richmond, he's an author. He's wrote a lot about the Washington Commanders, the Redskins, and they got the most money. So it's going to be really good for our industry here in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, you. The more I talk to you and think about it, Atlanta may be the hip hop capital of the world.
Oh, it is. It really is. Because it's like when you think about Jermaine Dupri came down here in 1992,
money,
and you got TLC, you got all the girl groups in Vogue and all them were down here. New York used to be known for all of that. But once Jermaine Dupri came down here with the Brat, hip hop took over. It became this mecca of a city. 285 imploded, 400, all that stuff was not really here back in those 90s. They had Freaknik, which they've since canceled because people got out of control.
They got too out of control.
Yeah,
you think they'll ever bring that back?
So there was a lesser version of it a few years ago. It was a Greek fest where, because I'm a Greek, I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and so we have a group Greek picnic that is at the AU Center down where Outkast and all them used to rap about it in Central Atlanta, the West End, and so they have all that stuff going on, and it truly is the hip hop capital. I mean, it's definitely the rap. Because on top of that, you got artists right as we're speaking now, somewhere in the studio, underground. The underground movement really came out a lot. The underground mixtapes and stuff like that. That's how a lot of people became who they are. Look at Soulja Boy. He trended on YouTube. He trended on YouTube for a long time before people realized who he was, and now that's how he got his rap career.
Setting the standard for Atlanta. It's a blessing to be free. That's T.I. right there.
Look at you,
Oh, I know.
I'm gonna start calling you Rob. You're not Robert no more. You just Rob.
I listen to it like it's going out of style. Sanja Pearson, Prim and Proper Sports, doing it big. NESSP. Now you're coming up here. What are you talking about tonight? I'm
gonna be coming on at 9 on my channel, and that's where I gotta skedaddle soon, unfortunately, but it's always fun. But I'm gonna have Keith Angle on there. He's big New England Patriots, Pat show. We're gonna be talking about kind of a little bit what we talked about, of course, the Cam incident. We're talking about the free agency coming up. We are talking about the talent going into the combine, like, because a lot of people are not participating in that.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll also talk about, let's see, because I got my notes here. I'm a notes girl. I always tell people that.
You got your list, checking it twice.
We'll also talk about Kirk Cousins and Chris Jones are heading into the free agency, as well as the fact that Ladarius Sneed got franchise tagged by
But he may get traded.
Yes, he may get traded. The fact that the GM is hanging on to Devontae Adams out in Las Vegas is another thing to talk about. And, a plethora of everything. Anything else Keith comes up that he wants to talk about, I just kind of lead him to it. We'll talk about half an hour.
Keith. Remember Bubba Gump in the movie Forrest Gump? He knows everything there is to know about college sports. College football, college basketball. He knows like all 64. He's like an encyclopedia.
He does. He's super smart, and I'm just there to take notes and study because I have Duke as my team, but I'm always trying to learn more. And I learned so much from you too, Ron.
I'm taking notes. We're all learning from each other. Who do you think told me how to set all this stuff up? That's the great Keith Angle, who started. I think I got this off Shutterstruck. I think it's what it's called. Get the little background of the city. You can get that for Atlanta if you wanted to, or Charlotte.
I'll do Atlanta. And I see you got the Batman building behind you, so that's Nashville skyline all day.
Yep.
Because I got family there, so I know the Nashville skyline is very beautiful.
I thought about putting the New York one up there, but Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez, he'll give me a hard way to go. When I first met him in college at Austin P, I just moved back from New York, and I had a little bit of their accent, and he said I was overdoing it.
You went to Austin P?
Yeah. I graduated Austin P.
I have a cousin that graduated Austin P in, let me see. She must have graduated in, she's older than us. She graduated, I think, in 89.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, the Olympic gold medalist. That's what road it's off of. Austin. Very boring up there, but I got through it. It's like a player going to Green Bay. There's nothing to do but study and eat. I gained about 15 pounds
and survive the cold.
Yes.
Survive the cold because it is brutally cold.
Yeah, it was 60. It was 70 at 7:00 this morning. By 8:35, it was like 40.
The same thing happened here. It was
really?
50. It was been 75 the last couple of days. Got some rain. Now it's like 47 right now and cold. But I like the winter. I'm a winter baby.
Not me, my friend. Not me. Sonia Pearson, everybody. Don't let me hold you, my friend. I'm going to. All right.
I'm still CJ D. Simone's little heart. I got to open it up and turn it. That's what
a lot of
CJ
people
does.
do on TikTok. A lot of the women do.
Yeah, got that. I don't know. CJ picked it up and I just show love. But yeah, it's been fun. I hate to run, but I got to get ready for my next show. But I'll definitely come back anytime you'd like to have me.
Of course, Sanja. And check out Sanja's shows. They're at the bottom of the screen. And matter of fact, I'll check that out when I get done with my show here in 20 minutes.
Yep, and I shared your show already to my YouTube stream.
Thank you very much, Sanja.
And thanks, and I'll see you next time. And have a good night. Good night,
I'll
everyone.
do the same as well.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
See
night.
you later. All right, everybody. Sanja's got to prepare for her show. Okay, Chad, got some good stuff here. Don't leave, brother. All right, now, okay. Yesterday, talked about this. By the way, Marvin Harrison Jr. was spotted at the NFL Combine today. What a coincidence. Bucky Brooks, I talked about, he was a lock. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a lock to be a year ago. This time last year, Butkus Award, not Butkus Award winner, Blitnikoff, I think it's what it's called. Best receiver in the country, award winner, got the big name. Looked great his sophomore year. Numbers very similar. Didn't look that good last year. I felt like he was holding back. I talked about this on yesterday's program, though. There were some rumors, according to Ian Rappaport, who's with the NFL Network, saying that Marvin Harrison may skip everything. The Combine, the Pro Day, and I'm saying, yeah, that he's already skipped the last bowl game. But a lot of players are doing that now. They're opting out of the bowl that are not in the playoff. I get that. Started coming off a little bit entitled. He might not be. He might be a great team player. He just may be getting bad advice. Maybe him and his dad are being too careful. But listen, this is Bucky Brooks, NFL Network, very former player, scout. Really value his opinion. This is what he said yesterday. I would have played this, but I didn't find it. But I did find it this morning. He's talking about Rome Odunze from Washington possibly being the top guy here. Let me look him up real quick. Oh, there it is. There it is. I think it's this one. Bucky Brooks, NFL Network.
Or Dunze and Neighbors in terms of challenging.
And Malik Neighbors, I've talked about him before, LSU.
I think it's really close. And I know we're so used to hearing Marvin Harrison Jr. name kind of bandied about as the unanimous number one, but this is closer than you would imagine. And even though I would liken Marvin Harrison Jr. to Larry Fitzgerald coming out in terms of being smooth and polished, those other two dudes are absolute dogs. When you think about Rome Odunze, like when I see him, he reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase. So we're looking at him make these plays. He's rugged, he's physical, he specializes in winning the 50-50 balls. He can do a bunch of different things, has a punt returner in his background, so he's going to be terrific with the ball in his hands. Don't sleep on him potentially being the number one to come off the board. How close?
Wow. So that's, I played that just saying, it's just not my opinion. I'm not pulling this stuff out of my hat here about Marvin Harrison. He's got to tighten up. I know the talent's there. I think his head's got to be there. And I got a feeling that maybe he's going to have a change of tune coming up Pro Day. He might not run this weekend at the Combine, but I think he will at the Pro Day. And I also mentioned the fact that it looks I read another mock draft today. By the way, Mel Kiper this morning still has him going number 4 at Arizona in his mock draft. There could be a possibility. Could he also, as a storyline, vow not to play at Arizona, pulling Eli Manning, not wanting to play with the LA Chargers, John Elway not wanting to play then, we're talking 1983, with the Baltimore Colts before they moved to the Indianapolis Colts. I've never heard of a receiver doing something like that, but he could because number 5, he would be playing with Justin Jefferson under Jim Harbaugh, potentially a really crappy career with very little playoff experience, could still get to Hall of Fame, but just have a guy with a lot of money and not a lot of postseason success versus a potential shot at a Super Bowl ring, possibly 2, with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh if he's on the board at 5. and they simply pass up on him or work out a trade, they're not going to trade for him. I can just see them passing up on him and going for one of the others, Malik Neighbors or a Rome Odunze. Keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that. Okay, so I did mention Raheem Morris. Let me play that soundbite that I was talking about with Sonia earlier from Raheem Morris. Here's a key word to this. Let me make sure I get it. 40 seconds, Raheem Morris. Stand by here, folks.
Your quarterback plans. You know, it's been
Raheem Morris on the Rich Eisen show, folks. Listen up.
It's been rehearsed a bunch of times right now, but let's be honest with you. We are definitely in the quarterback hunting business, and we got to go out. We got to find ways to acquire them. You know the ways we can do it with free agency, the trade, or the draft. We're going to have an aggressive plan on whatever that is, whether that be aggressive movement in free agency, or whether that's an aggressive move in our draft, whether we going up, going back, staying put, whatever the case may be. But we want to have that type of mentality to go out there and find our guy to give us long-term success. And the thing I'll tell you also, Rich, is we've done a nice job of, acquiring a bunch of coaches with a lot of
Yeah, aggressive, long-term success. That says, without a doubt, they are heavily considering the draft. Okay, potentially trading up with the Tennessee at 7, perhaps. What if a player drops down? What if Drake May drops down? Somebody like that. What if they're real high on Michael Penix and they're worried that maybe a Minnesota may jump them? Okay, or somebody like that. You just never know. So what that tells me, he's confirmed what I've said with this quote here, that even if they do bring in a Ryan Tannehill, which he's going to be a free agent, I'm throwing him out there, a Russell Wilson, 36, 37-year-old Russell Wilson, they're still going to draft a quarterback. They're still going to draft it. Hey, they may even bring Justin Fields in and draft a quarterback. So that's a storyline to watch. That's something to watch. These next 2 weeks are going to be really interesting here. Okay. But you know what? After talking to Sonia, there is a possibility that maybe something could get worked out with Minnesota and Justin Fields. That's a possibility. The more I think about it. Now, of course, he is in their division. They could cut him, but I doubt it. It would work out, but I can't see teams doing moves in the division. That being said, the Lions traded with Minnesota in the division. They traded TJ Hawkinson. So it could be he could be a Minnesota Viking with the Bears. Because listen, the Bears play in the same division. They said, well, Detroit made a move here, We think he ain't about nothing. He can't beat us. If they want to give us a draft pick, let's go ahead and do it. So, and back to that Minnesota trade with Hawkinson, who's a big-time tight end, right? Who's ends up going to the Vikings. It worked out for both teams. They end up getting the Rookie of the Year tight end there with Minnesota, with the Lions here. Remember, they went up and drafted a guy. Of course, his name is slipping my mind, but you know who I'm talking about, right? That's not likely, but the more I think about it, it's not off the table. To see, he needs an offensive-minded head coach to work with him. He needs an offensive-minded head coach here. Okay, now, I thought Sonia was only say a few minutes. She stayed a lot longer than I thought she would, and that was awesome. She was great. But okay, all right. Shaq Barrett, edge rusher of linebacker, what do you want to call him? 31 years old with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to get released. Xavier Howard, I want to say he's about 30 himself. Cornerback, very good. Missed a few games, but I would not consider Xavier Howard injury prone. Miami can't afford to pay him and Jalen Ramsey. So they're going to release Xavier Howard. And players like this compiled with taking a few defensive prospects high in the draft, just these two type of players. These players have gotten second contracts. By the way, Pro Bowl level players still got money still got plenty of, well, they got money in the bank, hopefully. These guys have signed second contracts. Players are more out to not break the bank in the third contract, not unless he's a mega player, but a guy that's cut, that was a former Pro Bowler, because he's an air quote casualty, can make a big difference on a team. For example, who did I say? Say, for example, a team like Detroit or even a Minnesota, all right? Especially at Detroit, who needs help at corner with Xavier Howard, Pro Bowl level, and help at linebacker there, or even a Cincinnati, somebody like that, got some cap room. These teams have cap space here, you do that. I actually mentioned Green Bay per se. Green Bay's got a new defensive coordinator. They fired their they got a lot of young talent. Matter of fact, the youngest team in the league. Okay. You add some guys like this, go defensive in the draft. We saw the receiving core. We know about the young quarterback who's on his fifth-year option. He may get an extension here, but they've got him for a really good deal here. Not even fifth-year option in Jordan Love. These type of moves, you keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on guys like this. Usually teams like the Ravens scoop these guys up. That's why the Ravens are always good. They scoop up these defensive players because they want to play with other great defensive players. But my point is, you could turn a defense around like that. Chris Collinsworth said this 20 years ago, and it's still true. You could build a defense quickly and cheap with the right moves. It's a lot more. I remember when just all these defensive players started signing with the Rams 5-6 years ago, back in 2008, in preseason, in the offseason, kind of like this, getting this guy Fowler, and they made the move to get Ramsey, but also they were just picking up players like, oh, man, that's another good defensive player. That's another good defensive player. And before you know it, they had a great defense that year. They got to the Super Bowl. Now, they did lose. They lost to Belichick. But you can see the writing on the wall in March is what I'm saying. Okay? You can make a lot of headway with guys like that. So Shaq Barrett, Xavier Howard, guys are relatively healthy for 30+. You're not going to break the bank. Bringing in a good corner like that, and a guy like Barrett who can get sacks here, you can use him as a rusher. I saw it on his stat line here. So that's something, those two players, plus Patrick Queen, linebacker out, I mentioned him yesterday, out of Baltimore, could be a free agent as well. He is going to be a free agent because he hasn't been franchise tagged. They franchise tagged one of their defensive tackles here. So if you wanted to really upgrade your linebacking core, again, a team like a Cincinnati, Detroit can use a linebacker. Tennessee can use another line. They're not big high-end players. They're not as important as an edge rusher or a defensive tackle, but they're really good complementary players if that's what you're missing right now, particularly the situation that these guys are in, especially a guy like Queen. If you got a good defense around him, really quick player, quick to the only 24 years old. I'm surprised that they didn't want to keep him, but they're paying offensive players now at Baltimore. So a lot of exciting things coming up in the NFL, folks. Coming up in the NFL. Even just forget about the next 2 weeks, days leading up to this. Okay. Trades can still be made in principle. We've already know that Zach Wilson's going to seek a trade. Players could be released. We're already starting to hear who's expected to be released. And then when I think there's free agency begins on the 13th, but I think they have a legal tampering period beforehand. I'll get back to you on that a day or so before that. So we're going to start to see some of these pieces come into play. And don't be surprised. Again, there's going to be some trades here. There's going to be some trades here. Going to be some wild stuff. And there's always something that happens that we didn't expect happen. I thought maybe they would keep Xavier Howard, you know, with Miami. But that was already one surprise. So fun times here. If you guys like the show, please share the show and check out Sanja on her shows here. She brings the energy every single show that she's on. Keep that in mind. So have a good night, everybody. I'll see you. Actually, I've got an appointment tomorrow. I'll be showing a rerun, but I will be back Friday. I'll be back Friday with Carlos Madden, New Yorker Chavez. But hey, look, I'll put in one of my good interviews on tomorrow. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same place. And I'll be back live Friday with Carlos Madden, New Yorker Chavez. We're going to dig into that Zach Wilson thing. I'm sure he's got plenty to say about that. Have a good night, everybody.